Well, that was the election commissioner speaking to members of the media. Now, he said that the polling has fared better this year than in the previous years of 2001 and 2006. Now, he also said that the local body polls is not politically driven. He did clarify allegations of booth capturing, and he said that the commissioner also reiterated that there was no such reports. Now, in terms of the webcams that were set up at various poll booths, he did reiterate that all arrangements were made for webcams to be set up at various poll booths in and around the city as well as the state. And he also said that the DMK had asked for repolling in 48 booths. Well, moving ahead on the bulletin, with a high voltage campaign, you would have imagined that Chennai would have witnessed a high voter turnout. But it was way below that of the assembly election just 5 months ago. The result on Friday will be interesting because both the Dravidian majors have tested their individual strength without their allies. For the AIADMK, this election will help them feel the pulse of the people after its 5-month rule. Pratiksha Ramkumar tells us why Amma looked the way she did as she cast her vote. Calm, composed and confident.
Will the AIADMK's match winner do an encore? Not long ago, Chennai was seen as the bastion of the DMK. But the recent assembly election turned that theory on its head. Amma's alliance had notched up 14 out of the 16 seats. It's that momentum, together with a slew of welfare schemes, that explains this confidence.
We have initiated many welfare schemes for the public. We have fulfilled our promises to the people. Therefore, we are confident that the people will give us their overwhelming support once again in the local body elections.
And the man who runs a free coaching institute for IAS aspirants exuded a double dose of confidence. Voting for the ruling party as its undeniable advantage has been his take.
Sir, நீங்க எவ்வளவு கான்ஃபிடென்ட்டா இருக்கீங்க இன்னைக்கு ஜெயிக்கிறதுக்கு?
100%.
The DMK's candidate M. Subramaniam is no pushover for the top job at Ripon Building. And his party pulled out all stops during its campaign. But minutes after polling began, came a torrent of complaints. And the blame game is all over again.
திராவிட முன்னேற்ற கழக வேட்பாளர்கள் கேட்டதற்கு தான் வெப் கேமராக்கள் பொருத்தப்பட்டது. ஆனா அது நிறைய இடங்கள்ல இயங்கல அப்படினு சொல்றாங்க. அத பத்தி நீங்க என்ன சொல்றீங்க?
அரசே சரியாக இயங்கவில்லை. கேமரா இயங்கவில்லை.
இன்று பெரும்பகுதியான வாக்குச்சாவடிகளில் வீடியோவோ வெப் கேமராவோ வைக்கப்படவில்லை என்பது ஒரு வருத்தத்திற்குரிய விஷயம்.
For the AIADMK, it could be an interim report card from the people in response to its welfare schemes. For the DMK, it's still smarting under its defeat in the assembly election, and faced with a spate of land-grabbing charges, it could be an indication of any possible sympathy or the lack of it. While the voter turnout may have been a bit of a disappointment compared to the state assembly polls, reading what's on the voters' mind is not easy.
I think it makes sense to vote for the party in power. I'm sure there are funds allocation, distribution issues. So if there are other parties involved, I'm not sure how smooth it's going to happen.
We believe change is required, so I voted for this person who I think will bring the change.
இந்த எலெக்ஷனை பொறுத்தவரையிலும் மாற்றங்கிறது முக்கியம் கிடையாது. யார் நல்லதை செய்தாங்களோ அவங்களுக்கு ஓட்டு போறது தான் முக்கியம். நாங்க நல்லதை செய்தவங்களுக்கு ஓட்டு போட்டுருக்கோம்.
While a low voter turnout usually means an advantage to the incumbent party, with 30 other candidates and no clear trend seen among the voters, the counting day is expected to be a clear potboiler for not just the political parties, but for the electorate too. In Chennai, with camera person Madan, Pratiksha Ramkumar for NDTV Hindu.
Well, giving us more on how the polling day turned out for the heavyweights, we're joined by our reporter Pratiksha Ramkumar. Pratiksha, politically this time around, many of the major Dravidian parties have gone solo. Now, was there much concern amongst them on the split in the vote bank?
Well, that was definitely a big concern, because even the AIADMK, who were actually initially very, very confident, which is why they even gave out their list before consulting the DMDK and the other allies like the CPI and CPM, and even after the DMDK alliance threatened to pull out, CPI, CPM threatened to pull out and finally did pull out, they still did not, go really well with the negotiations. They still did not give in at all during the negotiations in the matter of seats or even locations. But after all these parties main allies actually broke out. They ended up contacting the smaller parties like the Forward Bloc, a lot of smaller Muslim smaller parties basically, to at least protect that vote bank. And even in Tirchi, she tried to protect her Muslim vote bank. So definitely vote bank is something that on a lot of parties' minds. And even with the DMK Congress, this was really an opportunity for the DMK and Congress to really test their strengths alone, because they're typical in the state assembly election. There were a lot of complaints from the workers saying that they were blaming each other. The DMK workers thought that they lost the elections so badly because of the Congress. The Congress shared the same feeling. So this time really they were quite relieved really when the Congress decided to pull out and go alone in the elections. So this time the DMK is really, if the DMK does really well now, this is their opportunity to actually say that they could actually make their vote bank bigger without the Congress. So definitely a break in vote banks is something that has affected political parties. In fact, I'm sure the DMDK moving out would have been on the AIDMK cadres' minds for quite some time. Dipti?
Right. Also, you've been interacting with the party candidates right through the day. Now, was this low voter turnout at the back of their minds of the mayoral and the ward councillor candidates?
Dipti, yes, we have been speaking to a lot of candidates. While Mr. Saidai Duraisamy maintains that it's not something he's worried about, it is in fact much better than what it was last time. And generally itself, we all do admit that the civic body elections cannot really be compared to the state assembly elections. While the state assembly elections voter turnout was something of a huge boost, something that really gave us hope that a lot of people actually would bother to come out and vote. This civic body elections voter turnout being this low was actually quite a disappointment. But Saidai Duraisamy was very confident, but a lot of independent candidates were very upset. In fact, Sharat Babu, who we spoke to a little earlier, said that that was his Facebook post today. If we do remember, he did most of his campaign for the local body elections through Facebook. So today his Facebook post just appealed to people to come out of their homes and cast their vote. And even Mayor Subramaniam, a lot of other candidates felt that, you know, this whole violence has kept a lot of people home. Usually voting is expected to pick up after the afternoon. In fact, the numbers actually grow a lot between 2 to 5. Now they feel that those numbers did not really grow because of these stray incidents of violence. So definitely it is on people's minds. They do. Candidates definitely feel that they have a better chance at seeing a free and fair poll if there are more people coming out to vote, because it is these blank votes that are usually misused by people.
Right. Thanks again for joining us there, Pratiksha, with all those updates. Pratiksha Ramkumar there, who's been out and about since the crack of dawn today, following the heavyweights as well as following all that's happened through the day of the polling. Well, meanwhile, violence has also been reported from Villupuram's Madapattu village. A clash between two groups had left 6 injured, and the superintendent of police had also visited the spot. Well, joining us more right now for information on what has really ensued through the day in terms of violence and the number of cases that have been registered is our crime correspondent Salim. Now, Salim, with over 12,000 police force deployed to ensure that there was no untoward behavior or unveiled during the polls, we still had cases of violence.
Yeah, as far as Chennai is concerned, the civic polls were marked by violence, and as far as the Chennai city police say, that they deployed police personnel in each and every booth, but whereas the reality today is that several violence have been reported in the city. In fact, more than a dozen cases of violence have been reported in the city. Initially, it started at around 10:30 when an attack was unveiled by a mob against a woman in Thousand Lights area, and the woman is undergoing treatment at the Royapata Government General Hospital, and she lodged a complaint with the Thousand Lights police. And following that, Mr. DMK spokesperson TK Zilungavan lodged a complaint with the Joint Commissioner of Police here at the City Police Commissioner Office, saying that there were no enough CCTV cameras and not enough cops on duty in the polling booths. And secondly, and in fact, cutting across party lines, the violence victimized almost all the party men from DMK, DMDK, PMK and so on. And the latest of these attacks was at around 2:30 this afternoon, when a mob entered a room and unveiled an attack. They in fact ransacked the entire polling booth In fact, they thrashed the EVMs. They actually threatened the employees sitting inside the polling booth to move out of the booth, and they started casting bogus votes. In fact, the polling officers, they say that the city police were standing mute spectators to what was happening inside the polling booth.
Right, thanks again there for joining us with that information, Salim. Well, we have to take a quick break here on the bulletin, but on the other side there is more news and updates. Please stay with us.